Okay, here we are in part two. Now in part two, if you look closely here, you'll see it says part two, blobs and splatters. So these are some of the images that I found for blobs and splatters. I just went online, I typed in blobs, I typed in splatters, and I found a few of these different ones. Here I typed in grunge texture or concrete textures, another splatter, even some spray sand textures, and just a few more just to make sure that I had enough. I might not use all of them, but get as many as you can. Then I go back to Photoshop now, and you can see in Photoshop I have finished the collage of the background from part one, piecing all these together, some behind others, some big, some small. I kept them in color. All right, so our first step for part two is you are going to go to your layers panel, then select the top layer by clicking on it once, hold shift on your keyboard, go down to the bottom, and click the bottom layer so that all of them are selected. Now once they're all selected, you're going to click, hold, and drag with the left side of your mouse down to the little folder button at the bottom here. Once you've done that, it is now in a group. It says group 1. You can see all of the layers are still in there. I'm going to close it back up. What I want you to do is now take that group 1 layer, click, drag, and drop it to the new layer button. Now you should have two groups, group 1 and group 1 copy. We are going to stay on the group 1 copy layer, but I want you to right click on it and merge that group together so that everything from that group becomes one layer. And you can see it right there. You can see a little thumbnail of it up there at the top. Then go back down to the group 1 folder, and I just want you to hide it. Okay, back to group 1 copy. Now, you have a couple of options as you do for the rest of this entire project. You're going to have lots of different options for you. You do not have to do it exactly as you see me do it in the video. You can if you'd like, but you're going to have your own designs, your own theme, your own pictures, so yours should be different. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to group 1 copy. From there, I'm going to make a copy of that one now. So now I have two. Now, for the time being, I'm going to hide this one and take the top one and change it and make it black and white. So to do that, I'm going to go up to the word image at the top, down to adjustments, and over to black and white. And you can see it has made everything black and white on the page. I'm just going to hit OK. Okay, so in part 2, we grabbed all those blobs and textures and stuff. So what you're going to do is you're going to open them up and try to use them. So I'm going to, and there's a few ways to do this. I could right click and open with Photoshop. I could also just drag this directly into my work. Now when I do that, you see it comes up here, and if I hit the checkbox up top, it okays it, and that's fine. But you'll notice that there is a little icon right here on the layer, which means it is a smart object. I want to right click on that layer now and rasterize. So if you do just drag it in, you must rasterize. Then we're going to make it larger. So I'm going to just zoom out, Command minus a couple of times and zoom out. You see that this piece here is not quite as big as the rest of the project window. So I'm going to go to Command T, hold Shift, resize it a little bit until I like the way it looks, and I'm going to hit OK. Now right now that texture is covering everything from the black and white group 1 copy 2 layer. So I'm going to go up to the word blending mode here at the top, and I'm going to start to change the blending mode until I find one that I like. Now I'm going to make it a little larger so you can see with me. And a fast way to do it is to take the move tool, hold shift on your keyboard, and hit the plus sign. And as I hit plus, it cycles through all those blending mode layers. Now it doesn't matter really which one you pick, as long as you can see the background a bit. This one, I can see some parts of the background, but not all of it. So I'm going to leave hard light as my blending mode, but I'm going to go over to opacity and bring that down a bit. And you can see, now I see a little bit of both, right? I see the background, but I also see the texture. All right, from there, what else? Well, I'm going to go back into one of these other ones here, like this one. Right click. Now, a different way to open it is to open it with Photoshop. When it opens up, you pull it apart. This one happens to be a gray mode, so I'm going to just change it to RGB. But now it's the same thing. I want to bring in just the splatter, but not the white. So how could I do that? Well, I'm going to use the magic wand tool, click on the white area, right click, grab similar, so it grabs all the white. But now what I want to do is I want to inverse it. So now it's just grabbing this splatter. From there, I can take the move tool, click, hold, drag, and drop onto picture, and you see it comes up pretty small right there. Let's enlarge it. Let's do Command T, hold Shift, pull from the corner, and I'm just going to place it right about there or so. And remember, on these, you could also change the blending mode. And that could look cool right there, or you can go through the whole different list of blending modes until you find one that you like, and that's fine. Now, once you have one, doesn't mean you can't copy it and use it again somewhere else. In fact, I'm going to rotate it after I copy it, hold Shift, make it larger, and use it somewhere else on the page. Just like that. So I have two, right? One big one across the top, one small one over here, and then I'll try something else, maybe this red one, right? Same thing, open with Photoshop. Once it opens up, I'm going to select with the magic wand tool the red. I'll right click and say similar. Now it's grabbing all the red from that document. I'm going to take the move tool and now move it into here. Oops. For some reason it didn't grab the red. Let's try it again. There we go. That's better. All right, now same idea. Command T, resize, rotate, decide where it goes. And maybe on here, what I can do is change the blending mode also, right? So as I change the blending mode, we're going to find one that we like. Maybe darken, multiply, I don't know, whichever one you think is going to work for you. I'm going to use this one, the one that says overlay. And I can also copy this, and I can flip it and rotate it and make it bigger and put it somewhere else. All right, so I have a few of those done. Now, we're almost done with part 2 here, actually. We put on some pieces, we layered it up, we used the blending modes, right? We put some splatters in the texture. One other thing, though, is you have it black and white in the background, which is this Group 1 Copy 2 layer. Now, what could you do with that? So there's two options. You can double-click, and then here, where Layer Styles panel pops up, you can choose Color Overlay or Gradient Overlay. I'm going to choose Color Overlay, and I'm going to click on the word Color Overlay. Now, when I do that, you'll see that it overlays this green, which was selected, on top. But now I can't see any of the image, right? And I did that on the picture. So what could I do? Well, I could change this blending mode to something else. So now you can see, right? So as you change those blending modes, you might come up with something really, really interesting to look at. I'm going to try one other option. So option number 2 here is hide this one for a moment, turn on the color one, click on the color one, and now you can do similar kind of things. You can either leave it like this if you like this one better, or you could double click, color overlay, and now you can try different blending modes again, but now with the color version. All right. So it's kind of really up to you which one you want to try. It could be that way, could be that way. Really, really sort of up to you. And you can leave both ways. You can see I have both ones on there. And I'm going to make sure you do a file save as you go. I'm going to do a file save now. And then we're going to go on to part 3.